Daniel Yaryan, I am so excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us for this special Assiduous Dust episode. You have so much great, exciting stuff coming up. It's just lovely. I can't wait to get into it. Daniel Yaryan grew up in a movie theater. Cinematic images, sci-fi books, and comics have all influenced his poetry from a very wee early age. And some of his heroes include poet William Everson, novelist Jerry Kamstra, and his grandfather, Big Ray Yaryan, who started the Ghost Riders Motorcycle Club of San Fernando in 1938. Yaryan is a former print journalist, editor, and advertising executive, and a damn good one. Throughout his life, Yaryan has organized artistic projects, so many, such as the Santa Cruz independent newspaper, the Real World Press, Los Angeles Poetic Cabaret Bionic Beats, multimedia poetry super show Sparring with Beatnik Ghosts, and Poetry Festival Santa Cruz. The late Los Angeles poet Wanda Coleman referred to Yaryan as one of the new generation of poetry mavens. Yaryan has created the Kamstra Sparring Archive, aka the Sparchive. I love that. Part interactive museum, part art gallery, and entirely a sanctuary for poetry, performance, and visual art. Same as artistic preservation, documentation, and promotion of all things creative. The archive honors Jerry Kamstra, author of The Frisco Kid and Weed, Adventures of a Dope Smuggler, both books released in special editions by Yaryan's Pure Amid Press imprint. His Mystic Boxing Commission will publish a major collection of poems, by the way, by Michael C. Ford, this coming up soon. I think it was. Anyway, and the Sparring Omnibus Anthology, which should be epic. But I'm not here just to talk about that. I'm here for another exciting development. Daniel Yaryan, you have the Mystic Boxing Commission Festival of Sound and Vision that's coming up. Plus your book launch for Sorcerers Through Dimensions Infinite with some terrific artwork by Fitz. And I am so excited. So you're producing this festival. And could you tell me a bit about it? I've heard that also there's something going on with birds wearing gas masks on the poster. And that's really cool. Yeah, that's really awesome. Thank you. That's just so, and just a beautiful art. Can you tell me why birds wearing gas masks? And
right.
this festival.
And this is the book that image comes from.
Oh, lovely. Can you do the sweep, the side sweep?
Okay.
Slightly up. Yeah. That is just beautiful. It's breathtaking. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on your program, first of all. And yeah, how it came about. The festival came about initially from wanting to have a book launch. I've been working on this book for a number of years with Fitz, and the gas mask birds image is one of the images from the book of Sorcerers. So when you launch a book, you know, you don't want to just like put it on Amazon or something like that and just say, okay, like fly away, just do your thing, you know. You have to do something to draw attention to it. And you know, without documentation of something happening, like it's as if it never happened. It doesn't exist unless it's, you know, there's some kind of record of it. So this is a record of the book going out instead of just like clicking a button and saying goodbye. You know?
Yeah, and you know, because and hopefully individuals can learn from that. I don't know, because you are just really, as the Los Angeles poet Wanda Coleman said, you really are, you know, new generation of poetry mavens. You mark that, and you are excellent in your documentation and preservation of history and for poetry, and I thank you. My hat's is off to you. So I want to ask a bit more about the artist of Fitzsimmons. You know, how did you meet him? What brought you two together?
Okay, well, actually, he's from Santa Cruz. That's my hometown, and I've known him since kindergarten, and we've been friends off and on for many years. And yeah, I would say probably 8 years ago we reconnected and started talking about all these different projects that we'd like to do together. So we've been working on a comic book for 2 years, a sci-fi comic, some other horror anthology collections. With, of course, he's doing the artwork and I'm doing the writing for it. Just the same with sorcerers. That's sort of how sorcerers came about, is through that reconnection.
And that dynamic duo.
Yeah. So yeah, it's we're both very, very Santa Cruz, you know.
Absolutely. And you've done a lot of amazing things with Santa Cruz and the poetry scene. You know, and I wonder, how did you get involved in that? Because and also the reason I'm asking is because I know that you know the big guns, and you have a lot of amazing history and individuals that you can bring together a crowd, or not a crowd, you can bring together the best poets out there. And how did you become a master of the poet gatherers?
How did I become a poet wrangler? Yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to remember how it all started. I think probably when my brother and I in the 90s, we produced a newspaper called the Real World Press. And it had a literary section in it dedicated to William Everson, who you can see highlighted in the background with his scythe behind me on the wall. And he was sort of a spiritual guide for me. So I created a section called Footsteps of the Wind, which Everson actually named. And I think it was through that and gathering poets for that section in the newspaper. Because initially, I started out as a journalist. So the poetry was a labor of love, you know, and journalism was like, hey, this is my road to some type of profession, you know, being in journalism school. So yeah, I think that's how it started. It started with Everson. I was just really made an indelible impression on me. You know, and I met him for the last year of his life, and I was even one of the pallbearers in his funeral. So
wow, that's
strong connection.
big. Wow, and so he really inspired you. And so, you know, talking about inspiration also, so when did you say the inkling of sorcerers first began? Like way back?
I would say as far as it coming together as a book is phatic process of art and poetry matched up, where every spread in the book has art with poetry. That came about, I would say, in 2013. I would say about 7 years ago, where we started kind of mapping out this thing. But you know, life is, you work on a multitude of different projects, and you keep kind of, you know, grabbing them and working on them and putting them back, and you know, there's a lot of fires burning at once.
A lot of fires. And I've heard that, so it's the imagery. Could you open up maybe to a random page or so? I've heard that it's all in color and it's beautiful. So you get what you see on the cover, right?
Right. Yeah. It doesn't disappoint. You know. So yeah, here are some of the images. The book is being shipped to me as we speak. So it's still en route, but I will show some of the images here.
Ooh, that's just, can you bring it slightly closer? Oh, that's terrific. Thank you. Wow. That's amazing. And you know, I know that that I've heard that in fact I think you know, I've taken a bit of a look at it, and you know, I'd say that it is a spellbinding phantasm, and that really, Daniel, your visionary visual raptor, adrenaline pumped sound waves are just mixed with Fitz's that eye-popping candy is robo candy. It just leaves, you know, it leaves my mouth just watering for more as you travel through this book, this Sorcerers Through Dimensions Infinite. And so I'd like to travel with you more. So you have the Mystic Boxing Commission Festival of Sound and Vision, and this is also to show, hey, this is my book as well. You have tons of different amazing artists, and you've had tons of different amazing artists that have been part of your great festivals. Would you share about some similar to this one? Similar to this one that you're that's coming up on the 13th.
So you talk about like who have I had in past shows? The audio cut out a little bit here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So some of the performers I've had in the past, I've had David Meltzer, who he really traversed both the Venice West scene and the North Beach, San Francisco scene in the late 50s and early 60s. And so he was one of the key people that I came into my orbit, or I came into his orbit, whichever. Brought him into the Beat Museum and did a show with him. And he was truly a poetic master and also a musician. He had a band called Serpent Power. It was sort of a psychedelic folk band in the early 60s, early to late 60s.
Very groovy.
Yeah, so he's one of them. And Ruth Weiss. Also,
the late great Ruth Weiss.
Yeah, yes, and she was known as the Beat Goddess. And she was one of the first to put poetry to jazz in the cellar in North Beach, basement of the cellar in North Beach, performance venue later occupied by Rex Roth and Furling Daddy.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've in fact, is it true, speaking of Furling Daddy, that you've had Furling Daddy in a show of yours in the past? Is that true, or is that a rumor?
It is true.
You can't believe everything on the internet.
Yeah, it is true. I actually that started with my connection to Christopher Felber, the photographer, and I invited him. I met him through Ruth Weiss, and I invited him to come to Los Angeles and photograph all the poets for the first LA sparring tour I did down here, which was five poetry shows in 48 hours. So
that is a lot. That takes some commitment.
Yeah. So my energy level was through the roof at that point, you know. So I've mellowed out a little bit since then. But anyway, through meeting Felber, he's also a filmmaker, and he did a documentary on Lawrence Furling Daddy, and he handed me a copy of his film on DVD, and he said, "Hey, you think you might be able to get this shown in Santa Cruz?" I said, "Let me see what I can do." And pretty quickly, by the time I got back to Santa Cruz, I had lined it up at the Del Mar Theater, which is my stomping ground of my childhood, the Del Mar Theater downtown. And what I did is I contacted the mayor and asked him to do a proclamation making it Lawrence Furling Daddy Day in Santa Cruz, and invited him to come and appear at the Santa Cruz premiere of the Furling Daddy documentary.
Terrific. And so if
Yeah, we had probably 550 people.
yeah, and that's just if I lived in Santa Cruz, maybe you could make Joshua Corwin Day, but maybe.
Right.
It's really amazing that you can gather that you are the poet wrangler and that you can, not just of individuals, that there's something, like I said, you are an extraordinaire with advertising and just putting on a good show and allowing people to really have a good time. And so, what makes, speaking of a good time, why should I come to your amazing extravaganza, show that you're putting on on Friday, November 13th? What makes it so superb? How are you going to blow out your other shows out of the water?
Well, there's always a hope that you're always striving for the best at each time. This one does have the challenge of being in the middle of a pandemic, so there's a new set of rules in terms of doing things safely.
Yeah.
If people want to do them at all, I would encourage people to do them safely in this way.
Of course.
I mean, this is the first festival of its kind in Los Angeles, or Southern California for that matter, for 2020. Which, if I could create something that is a positive amidst something it is so horrendous.
Yeah.
Poetry and art are always under siege, and you would think they'd be even more so now, given that there's so many priorities for people that are very understandable. But I feel that poetry, especially, but poetry and art and the arts are always kind of put down nowadays, but especially poetry. So so the real answer to the question is, what makes this something that you'd want to leave home instead of sitting and watching Netflix? If you're able to venture out and experience this, it's a multimedia show. So that's part of the sound and vision is incorporating different pieces of art, the visuals, like Fitz's visuals, brought into the backdrop, and the multimedia show with Fitz, including music and art and poetry and just embracing that, and all of this keeping their distance.
All of this done safely, socially distancing with masks. It's possible.
Yes, and if people are not able to make it to this, they could actually order tickets online to stream it from their home.
Terrific. And so they can just dress from their home festively or not, and they can just be there and pretend, they are part of it in a way. And so that is an option.
Yeah, they can stay at home and stay in their pajamas, and
I love my pajamas.
People that go to the supermarket, this is safer than going to the supermarket. It's an open air museum, and I want to give a shout out to Valley Relics Museum for working with me on this, partnering with me. And if anyone hasn't seen the Valley Relics Museum, it is I would consider it one of the dream spots for a show.
In fact, I've heard that that apparently LA Weekly named Valley Relics just like, I think it was in 2017 or something. It was it was winners of one of the best of LA for arts and entertainment. So it's a great place to have a show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and it's the backdrop is. I encourage people to go to their website, valleyrelicsmuseum.org. You can also I'd like people to go to sparringartist.com to get the tickets. So sparringartist.com, shameless plug.
Absolutely.
And,
Well, it's not.
it's one of the reasons why this is really. It's one of the reasons why this is a spectacular show, is the atmosphere, and it's in the safety of it being that it's at the airport, and it's 2 airplane hangars that open up. The walls open up like a DeLorean, like a giant DeLorean, and so you have the open air. And you have all these cool artifacts around you, like glowing signs, the Palomino Club sign from the bygone era.
So you're just taken back to the future, right?
Yeah, you really are. So yeah, it's besides the performances are what LA's best. I would say LA's best. Yes.
Ooh. So could it be Furling Daddy? Who knows? Could it be, who knows who it could be? Could it be, well, it has to be someone, so who could it be? Who could it be? Like, who knows what it could be? It could just be amazing. It is going to be amazing, and I can't wait. And I'm excited. I'm so excited. And so why did you choose, so I guess you really said it, you made a good argument also to do events safely, of course, at Valley Relics Museum. So you win that round, Daniel. So, you know, given the event again, are you concerned at all about the turnout, given the pandemic? You know, how are you to address that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, that's really why I'm not making all these grand announcements. I want people to know that's happening. I want them to get tickets. I want them to support the Valley Relics Museum. I want them to support the festival and experience it. And just also, I want them to experience the new book, Sorcerers, which is part of why this all came about. You know, as not just me reading from my book, but other people reading their works.
Oh wow! Will those be those will be just the people that of the LA's best will be sharing a tiny bit of theirs too?
The performers have been invited to perform there. Will be taking the stage. But as far as the turnout, I'm not worried about that, because there isn't a marker to compare this to. Since there have been none, you know, people taking that step to come out and experience something live as opposed to just from home, if they are able to, if they're in good health, I would encourage them to come experience it live, just like with anything else. But I want it to be accessible. I don't want droves and droves of. I'm not looking for rallies. This is not a rally.
No, God forbid, you know, because so it sounds also like that you're the part of. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your goal is also to say that this is possible and to set the stage in a way also because as you said, this is the first of its kind. Are there any other goals with this festival?
Yeah, you know, the idea of the Mystic Boxing Mystic Boxing Commission Festival of Sound and Vision is reintroducing sound and vision to people, you know, and in the context of not only the book, but in a live show. So you have two things that are coalescing, and that's really the idea, is bringing that, like, let's say Gary Schneider, poet Gary Schneider, Tom Killian doing a book together of Tom Killian's woodblock prints and Gary Schneider's poetry. They've done a couple fantastic books, and I want to bring that type of excitement to people's interest in poetry.
Yeah, because poetry is not a dying art, and I know that I've got to say, but I have an article of your beautiful words being used not against you but for you, where you say that you know, and I just love this. I read this. It says that you said that there's no reason, and I completely agree, that poetry shouldn't be as big as film or other types of media. And that's so true. And, you know, your efforts are, and your results, as you have shown, are really commendable to that spirit. And that was old Daniel, and this new Daniel, in this amazing form, you still are for this truth. And just, you find that that is also part of like reliving history, because documentation is so important to you of history. So is that part of your drive, your need to show you don't need Netflix, let's do this thing? Is that part of this amazing endeavor?
Yeah, that was a long question, but yeah, I mean, really, the goal is to keep things moving forward the best we can. You know, a lot of people staying home. I've spent a lot more time at home, unfortunately, as a lot of other people with the pandemic. But you know, I'm releasing a book that that was conceived 7 years ago. The concept of it, you know, the seedling for the book was brought about 7 years ago. So I want to come out with something, and I want to like do what I've done in the past and create a special event, you know, and that's really that's really what's driving this, is doing something, that getting back to doing things that we've done in the past and doing it safely. If you could go to the supermarket, this is safer than going to the supermarket by far.
Right. And what do you think?
We need to eat, and we need to feed our souls as well.
Exactly. This is poetry. This is soul food. You know, there you go. That Sorcerers Through Dimensions Infinite and Mystic Boxing Commission. This is a festival, not just of sound and vision. This is a festival of food to feed your soul. And so, you know, I know that you've done many different other projects. You've also done with the sparring with Beatnik Ghosts, and you also put on, you re-envisioned the Santa Cruz Poetry Festival that apparently, right, that was in 1981. It was put on, and then kind of something happened. It fell into the wayside a bit, and you answered the clarion call. And can you tell us a bit about that? And your skills as a poetry wrangler.
Okay. Well, that's part of it, but a larger part of it is finding a way to embrace past generations of poets and future poets, and having them share a platform. As what the San Francisco Chronicle newspaper put it, you know, it was like a Wikipedia of who's who in poets who share the stage in Santa Cruz at the Coconut Grove, which it's one of the dream spots for a poetry event. All the old Santa Cruz poetry festivals were at the Civic Auditorium. This one was right on the ocean, you know, and the rotund building on all the postcards of Santa Cruz.
Just a meditation to envision.
It was surreal. So I like having events that have that type of feeling, like you need to pinch yourself, like, oh, am I part of this? Is this really happening? I'm a part of history.
Right, and it sounds like also with Valley Relics Museum, with the whole vibe and everything, that it really has that surreal, amazing appeal to it. Also, that hopefully even if you you stream it and how or whatnot and experience it from the comfort of your homes, hopefully you'll get that pinch. You'll think that there's a ghost. And it's not just because because it's Friday the 13th.
Right, right. That
Uh,
was like the Friday the 13th date was that was actually the idea of Lil and Nelson Gary. They actually came up with that date.
they are friends of the show as well. We love them.
They're friends of the Mystic Boxing Commission, and they're dear friends. And the graphic with the birds with the gas masks, and then Friday the 13th. It's just it's a little bit of a tease, and kind of teasing people about superstition, fears, worries. And so, the graphic is from the book, but I chose it specifically for the flyer because I thought it was a perfect apropos image.
Absolutely. And Halloween's just around the corner also.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I tried to wink, but I can't wink, so I'm bad at it. I can't do that. But I know that you're great at so many things. Not sure if you can wink though. What I'd like to also ask is about that you also have in this pandemic and everything that you've been putting this thing together for 7 years, from its inception, and then this festival. And has it been a challenge putting this together? How has that, has it been rewarding? Has it been a unique experience? I'm curious.
It's too soon to tell if it's rewarding or not. That'll be by the end of the night on Friday the 13th.
Well, I'm Back to the Future, and I can say I think it's been rewarding.
Yeah. What I envision happening, I feel is going to be rewarding, not for me, but for people who experience it, however they're able to.
Exactly. And so how what means, how do people go and watch it if they aren't there? Are you using a specific platform? Would you tell us a bit how that works for those interested?
Yeah, that'll be up this week on Valley Relics Museum's website.
Okay, so
they've set up they've actually set up the ticketing link on Eventbrite already. So I have that on my webpage, sparringartist.com. So they can go there. You can buy your tickets in advance. The tickets are limited, so if you are attending, I would say definitely for in person, you definitely want to get your tickets as soon as possible.
Get them while you can, eh? So,
that's right, yeah.
And I want to say that, is there a bit of a, because you've done so much, and with your festivals, you like to put a combination of the new and the old, and you have the new individuals, and then you have the bleeding deacons and whatever. Maybe that's not the right way to put it. And as you put it, it's this blend. And so what also is your vision? Why bring the new and the old together? What is
well, you have the seasoned pros. I think that's what you're to try to touch upon.
Is there a deeper philosophy behind it?
Yeah, the seasoned pros of the previous eras and the Mavericks. So that's what we're bringing. Well, yeah, thank you.
So is there a philosophy behind that that really
ties to who you are. I think it really does, because I look up to the elders, not just in poetry,
like
but with other parts of life. But like one of my poetry heroes is Michael C. Ford, you know, and I have many heroes, and he's one of them. And I think we need to really listen to the words that he's put out there, because he has one of the most amazing poetic voices. If you listen to his audio recordings,
or on vinyl.
Yeah, he's got vinyl's coming back, and it's like it's something you wouldn't hear nowadays, you know. And it really talks to the history of not just spoken word, but all different topics, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I have a friend even who, in fact, is releasing a record, and they say, you know, they made a conscious decision to release on vinyl. And I think that certain individuals of these endeavors to bring back what is really good and really is a testament that draws individuals to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's being someone who has an archive and who collects and documents. Vinyl's very important. It's a very important component to that. So there are many wonderful Michael C. Ford vinyl pieces in the collection here at Sparchive. So yeah, I encourage people to test out the vinyl and hear that analog sound, you know.
Absolutely. Now I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And this one question is, would you do the sparring theme song for us?
Well, yeah.
Would you be
thanks,
willing?
thanks for asking. You know, although sparring with Beatnik Ghosts, obviously it's part of the thread of what I'm doing. You know, this is I'm just taking this in a different direction than sparring. And the Mystic Boxing Commission is really the umbrella to all the different projects that I do.
Not just the sparring.
And it's not just me, but the Mystic Boxing Commission is a bigger group it's an artist collective, you know?
Okay.
It's,
do you have, yeah.
And I don't have a jingle yet for Mystic Boxing.
Okay, that's what I was gonna go, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a little jingle for that yet. But
okay.
Yeah, the Mystic Boxing Commission. You have the Sparchive, the Kamstra Sparchive, dedicated to my hero Jerry Kamstra.
In fact, I have a copy of. I have that. It's a terrific book. And this is something, and I am a you know, recovering pothead, and I love this book also. So there you go.
Oh, right on. It's a great story, and the artwork in Weed Adventures of a Dope Smuggler was also created by Fitz. So I encourage people to, you know, really dig in and check that out,
because it's good for your soul.
It is, and you know, there's a lot of prose in Weed. It's a road journal with a lot of powerful reflection. It really taps into the history of the United States and Mexico, not just marijuana and the drug war, but pretty much full multicultural aspects of it.
And that's also what's so great about everything that Mystic Boxing Commission, as well as with the Pyramid Press puts together, is that there is so much depth in meaning in your work, and there is much as well in, you know, I'm lucky to have sampled a bit of your delicious soul food. The Sorcerers Through Dimensions Infinite. There are dimensions infinite in it. Not to be cheesy, there is. And would you be willing to give us a little taste?
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, that I can do.
Okay, good, good. Okay.
That's propelling us forward. But yeah, there's everything
my
from
little cutesy face.
yeah. There you go. So yeah, as far as there's fantasy, there's horror, there's cultural icons. It really ricochets between all these different worlds. So yeah, I'll read something.
Yeah. Is Donald Trump symbolic in any one of the characters?
No, he has absolutely nothing to do with this whatsoever. Yeah.
Okay. Oh no.
So this is the image in Sorcerers Through Dimensions Infinite.
That's just magnificent.
Lawrence Furling Daddy. Beatific through Furling Daddy's boundless glasses. Were you wearing Buckaroo bonsai specs, Furling Daddy? Was Buckaroo copying you? Stark raving mad glass frames, surrounding serious eyes. Furling, bright red flames, getting modern times, always ahead of the game of politics, activism, art, asserting philosophical observations, connecting to every audience. From this climate to the 8th dimension, utilizing your laser beams, detecting atomic clouds, catching inexplicable drift, moving from one side of the mountain to the other, picking up brains along the way. A sharp comic wizard employing a factory of words, reinventing appreciation of communication. To prove the pen is mightier, cultural shepherd leading other artist shepherds, a beat captain, unbeaten for nearly a century, and one day you'll be voted most likely to meet that carpenter cat from Galilee. Hard hat, schematics, blueprints, underarms, in a roving office in God's country. Who may saith, I find your satire joyous, my son, while beyond your 100th, many more jubilees wait. Until you unearth what to do when the Pope acts more like you do. And the planet is beatific, idealistic, poetic, through your boundless glasses projecting Coney Island.
Ooh, I gotta say, Daniel, snap, 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 clap, 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 round of applause. Forgive me for doing that. I'm silly, I'm goofy. That is beautiful. And I don't know, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of essays on this. You could read in a lot of essays in different levels, Dimensions Infinite, different ways to read it. And would you be willing to share, I know there's so many different, a little bit of, where were you when you started writing that piece, and that particular piece, and I know, and a bit about it, of what that piece means to you, and perhaps applies to this glorious festival that you're going to put on.
Yeah, okay. I actually wrote this as obviously a tribute to Lawrence Furling Daddy, but I actually shared it with him, and he was happy.
Wow.
Yeah. He enjoyed it.
That's gotta give some pause.
Yeah, it's, Coney Island of the Mind is one of the most incredible books of poetry ever written. It really is. So,
Amen. Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Daniel. It's been a pleasure to have you here, and joining us. And thank you for the honor to be able to interview you. And I'm looking forward, I hope to be there for the Mystic Boxing Commission Festival of Sound and Vision. You sold me at DeLorean.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thank you for having me on your program. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see as many folks as possible comfortably on Friday the 13th of November. Sparringartist.com.
Absolutely. Would you again, as we close out, would you show the poster again? Do a little wave for us, please, Daniel. Ooh, Sorcerers Through Dimensions Infinite by Yaryan and Fitz. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to Friday the 13th. Not something you often hear, but I am.
Right on. Thanks, man.
Goodbye.